welcome to Sestra-Tainment.
Sestra-Tainment.
I'm Lenora.
I'm Dee.
And we're coming together today to talk about everything entertainment. Yes. So, sis, you are up first this week. What you got?
All right, so the first one I want to talk about is going to be a good movie to some people and not to others. It is I guess like a dramatization type thing, but it's a movie that is based on the life of Ferruccio Lamborghini.
Oh, okay.
All right, and he's the founder of Lamborghini, of course. But I mean, like, if you're into cars, it would definitely be a good movie for you. But then also, if you just want the history of Lamborghini, this is also good to know. Okay. So yeah, with that being said, so we have Frank Grillo, who is playing Ferruccio Lamborghini. We have
reminded me of Super Mario Brothers.
That's because that's how they kept saying his name. Yeah. And I just like the way they were saying it. Mira Sorvino is Anita, which is his wife. Okay. And then you have Gabriel Bryan, who is Enzo Ferrari.
Okay.
Ooh. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So basically, it's after World War II in Italy. All right. So Ferruccio comes home from the war. He dreams of building like a tractor that he can make himself. Okay. But he wants to make it smaller than the current ones that are made. And there's only apparently one company that makes the tractors. I think it might be a German company or something like that. So he has in his mind, no, what I'm going to do is I'm going to build these tractors. And he's talking to his father about it because he's just got home from the war. And his father like, but this farm is yours. He was like, I don't want it. Give it to my brothers. They worked hard for it. I've been gone away, you know, for the war. So basically from there he just starts talking about how in the military he was like a mechanic and he worked on things. He had to take things apart, rebuild them and everything, stuff like that. So from there, that's where he gets this idea. So his father is just like, no, that's dumb. You're not doing that. Like there's already tractor people. There are people making tractors.
Making tractors, right.
That's it. And he's like, but I can make them smaller and I can make them better. I'm trying to tell you. So him and one of his war buddies, they get together and they make this tractor. And they go out and they just literally buy a piece of junk car.
Okay.
And then they just start taking the car apart, welding it and everything. And then they turn this car into a tractor.
Interesting.
How you turn a car into a tractor?
I don't even know.
I don't know. It was a lot of welding. It was a lot of bending. It was a lot of things. But I thought that was pretty awesome. But then what he also had is he has for them to get the money for this, there was like a car competition where you basically have a car that you have been working on or whatever, and you are driving it in a race against other different kinds of cars. So there's like Mercedes, it's just every kind of car that you can think of. I guess it's kind of like a Formula One racing type thing. Okay. Where it's like all these different brands of cars and you were driving it so you can be like the driver and then be able to be big and bad and get all this information. So him and his friend did that. They end up losing the race. They go and build this tractor. The tractor is amazing. The tractor is bright orange.
Okay.
And then they go to the bank and it's like, hey, he goes to the bank. He says, hey, if I can make something that looks like this but smaller, can your bank give me a loan? And the guy was like, have you already made it?
Yeah.
And he was like, yes, I have. And then there you go. Now he has a loan from the bank. So now that fast forwards him into his life of having tractors.
Yeah.
He's building these tractors. Everything says Lamborghini all over. Lamborghini, everywhere.
Interesting.
Tractors, Lamborghini. Then he had always wanted to meet Ferrari, right? So he went up to him and he was talking to him one day. And when he was younger, he spoke to him and he was like, that's my idol. Right. But then once he got older and he went to speak to him, he kind of like shooed him away. Like, come on, get away from me, man. Like,
you're not a kid anymore. You're not young anymore.
Yeah, I don't even think, he probably doesn't even remember who he was.
Yeah. But I mean, it's like, oh, a kid. All right, somebody younger,
somebody is like in their 20s, I'll talk to him. But like, dude, you're like 40-some years old. You need to back away from me. And basically, he was just telling Ferrari, he was like, your cars are amazing. He said, but I think he said, I don't know if it was the carburetor or the radiator or something. I can't remember what it was. He was like, it's crap. And he was like, now I'm going to build a better car. And that's what he did, and that's how he
moved from
literally
tractors.
yes, he built a concept car. So this guy came up to him while he's working on a car. The guy comes up and he's like, "Hey man, look, I've been going all around here everywhere." He's like, "I'm from New Zealand." He's like, "I've been walking all around here trying to get a job with a mechanic spot, whatever." And and Lamborghini's like, okay," and he's just talking to him. They're just talking back and forth. And as he's talking to him, he's like, "What's going on with this?" And then he tells him that, it's overheating or whatever, and tries to explain to him, like, what's going on. And then the guy was like, "Okay, well, this is what you're going to do. I'm going to give you a hand." And then from there, they become close because now he's like, "Oh, this guy knows what he's doing." That guy ends up being his driver, who ends up like his confidant, somebody that he like really trust. And when he first built the concept car, he was the one who drove the concept car around. Now the concept car, all these people who are putting in their money to like help invest and help build this car, they're like, we told them to go slow because we don't know if the car's going to fall apart. We don't know if the car's going to catch on fire. We don't know anything. But he's been building tractors for so long. He's like, I know how an engine goes. Y'all just do this part. I got this part, and this is how it's going to work. Like he got them to like switch different things so then the engine can fit underneath the hood, because if not, then it wasn't going to fit, and then they were going to have to figure out what to do with the hood, and you wouldn't be able to see and all this other stuff. But he got the driver to drive him around, and they were rolling. And they were just like, we told him to go slow. Oh my God. And then he gets out the car, and he's just like, we did a great job. He said, all right, now the next one, I want it to be blue. And they were just like, wait, what? Okay, blue. This one or the next one? He's like, both. Yeah, both. So now he's like making blue cars. So basically, like, it's just how it ended up coming up that he goes to, I guess it's like the concept car show thing, where they still have those now, like Motor Trend concept car things.
Where they have the cars of the future.
Yeah, the cars of the future, And basically what he does is everybody's standing over there by Ferrari, right? Yeah. And then they have the name Lamborghini, and everybody's thinking, that's a tractor. Literally, lady comes up to him. She was like, so Ferrari's been the name that we need to be looking at, but now Lamborghini has something for us, and it's behind a curtain and everything. So he's just like, yes, I do have something for you. He was like, if you want to, what did he say? I don't know how he said it. He's like, he said, if you want to be somebody, you buy a Ferrari. When you are somebody, you buy a Lamborghini. And then pulls the curtain back, and Ferrari is pissed. He is so mad. So. And I'm just like, oh, it's not in here. Everybody just clapping and looking at the car. It was just so cool how that happened. But I mean, basically, if it was not for Ferrari, there would be no Lamborghini.
Yeah, exactly.
But Lamborghini is just built better than Ferrari. Okay. Because he fixed the tweaks.
He fixed the tweaks that he was trying to tell Ferrari that he could fix, and he didn't want to, so he went ahead and
So I just thought that was kind of cool. I never knew the story.
I never knew Lamborghini. Tractors.
Yeah. I didn't know the story of Lamborghini. Never knew it was tractors. Then I didn't know that Lamborghini and Ferrari were like they kind of like were in the same circles,
like in
the
you
same
could just
neighborhood.
Go around the corner and talk to Ferrari.
So I thought that was pretty cool. And, it's a very interesting story. So if you are into it, it is actually on Tubi. So you can find Lamborghini, the man behind the legend, on Tubi.
There you go.
All right, what you got, sis?
So I actually have Luther, the Fallen Son.
I started it.
Okay.
Never finished it.
Didn't finish it?
I think I fell asleep.
It is an interesting movie. So Luther the Fallen Son, and it's funny because I think that might be a play on words with the Fallen Son, and I'll explain that in a second. But yeah, so you have the cast as being Idris Elba, of course, as Luther, John Luther, Detective Chief Inspector, so a DCI, as they say in the British shows. You have Cynthia Erivo. She plays DCI Odette Rain, and she is real serious. She's part of the crime unit, the serial crime unit. She's the head, right? And so she actually is a person who just doesn't like cut corners, doesn't take any mess. And we all know, if you've ever watched an episode of Luther, because he's had 4 or 5 seasons, that he cuts a lot of corners. You have Dermot Crawley, who plays Martin Schneck, and he actually is a retired detective superintendent who Luther used to report to. So he comes into play in this. And Andy Serkis is David Roby, who is a wealthy psychopath millionaire, basically, who is a serial killer. A serial killer psychopath with a whole lot of money.
Oh, great.
That's awesome. Great. Yeah, exactly. So this movie is on Netflix, and it's about 2 hours or so. It is the story about a very twisted man Mr. Roby, who manipulates people's secrets. So he almost finds out, kind of like Jeffrey Epstein, what is your deepest, darkest secret? And once I know what that is, now I'm going to use that against you so that that way I can manipulate you
blackmail
to
you
do what I want you to do.
That's crazy.
And exactly. And so, if he needs something from you, if he wants to have something done, what he does is he says, okay, you don't want your friends and family to find out that you were watching porn, or that you pulled information from, somebody's bank account, or you just whatever it is that they did. A lot of the things you don't even know what the people did, but whatever it is, it's so horrific to them that they are willing to die for it, basically, which is insane. So what he does is he makes the people feel so horrific about what it is that they did that he then somehow gets them. Like in this particular way that it started is you have this young guy who gets off a phone call, he's at his cleaning job, part-time, I guess, he has to go randomly meet somebody at a location. It's late at night. Okay. He's going out. It's raining. He goes out, and as he's trying to get there, he realizes there's this accident or something has happened where there's a driver just laying in the middle of the road. So he goes up to the car and, gets out of his car in the rain and walks up. He's calling 111, I guess, because they 999. I couldn't remember. I knew it was three of the same numbers. So he called 999, and he's just like, hey, there seems to be some accident. A person is laying out in the street. There's somebody else who's behind the wheel of the car. I don't know exactly what's going on. And as he's looking into the car to tell the person on the phone what's going on, the person laying in the street slowly gets up and then takes them, basically. So then the next day, what is it? John Luther is going out trying to figure out what happened. Like, this guy's car is sitting in the middle of a road. He's missing. We don't know exactly what's going on. Where did he go? What happened? And this sadistic serial killer, what he decides to do is call the boy's mom, playing his voice of, Mom, I need you. Come here. And then he gets on the phone and says, this is the address you need to come to. And he does it to like 20 people. It tells them, come to this address. And when they get to the address, all of their loved ones are hanging from the ceiling.
That is
all
horrible.
Of their loved ones are dead, and he's standing outside, and it's this mansion that he just purchased solely for this particular sadistic thing. And then what he does is he actually is watching. And then he goes up to the window, which was one of the creepiest things I saw. And he has the screen on his face that puts the loved ones' faces on the screen. And
I think I did see that.
Something else weird and sadistic on the screen.
Yeah, it's like a weird looking face.
Weird looking creepy face. So even if you go to Netflix to look at Luther, you might see a weird creepy face. And that face is because of the fact that he puts it on the screen.
Yeah, because it's like an LED, it's a weird mask that you can, put pictures and stuff on.
And then he catches the whole place on fire. So now you can't even have your loved one because he's catching the place on fire to burn up because he doesn't care. He's a multimillionaire.
Yeah, but then also,
and then they have to rush out and they can't even save their loved one. It's just, he is horrific. And so what he realized is that the one person who would probably figure out who he is John Luther. Mm-hmm. So he's like, you know what? I got to find out all the dirt on Luther in order to get him in prison, so that way, if he's out of the picture, I can continue to run on my rampant craziness. And this is all like first 30 minutes, so I'm not spoiling too much, in regards to that. And so what happens is, I don't even know if it's 30 minutes. It's probably more like 15. But he gets Luther in prison. It might even be 10. I can't remember, but it moves really quick.
I feel like I watched like maybe the first 10 minutes and that all happened in the first 10 minutes.
It was quick in regards to this. So I'm just laying the foundation before people say, well, you got to say spoiler alert. Like, there's
this is the first part of the movie,
more that goes on this
is the
movie.
Introduction.
This is the introduction. And so basically what happens is that he ends up getting dirt on Luther that shows that Luther did cut some corners, maybe did do some things he shouldn't have. So Luther ends up in prison. Well, what happens to police officers in prison? They get tortured, beat up.
Fight him,
Everything's going on with him. They're trying to stab him. All this stuff is going on. So now your top investigator is in prison. This guy's out running rampant. Luther's finding out about what this guy's doing. This guy's even sending him messages in prison. Trying to get him like, oh yeah, you wish you could catch me. Like, you wish there was something you could do, but you can't because I put you there. He's just taunting him. And so finally Luther figures out a way to escape, but now he is being searched in this in the same way that they're searching for Rhodey.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, the lady who Cynthia Erivo plays, she's just like, look, I'm trying to find you, Luther, just like I'm trying to find this other guy who's gone around doing all this sadistic stuff. Both of y'all need to be in prison.
Yeah.
Because I'm a rule follower and you were breaking rules. So that is where the whole story kicks off, of her trying to catch Luther and the sadistic psycho, and pulling in Luther's old boss to say, okay, you know how his mind works. You know what he thinks. So based on that, let me know a little bit about where you think he would go, what you think he would do. Luther was calling his boss, and his boss was trying to play like both sides of the coin, because he's retired now. So he doesn't have as much skin in the game. But, so he was just talking to him, and he was like, look, I'm going to catch that sadistic guy before you catch me. And we got money on the table about it. Like, that's a bet. Like, we got this. And so the whole story just kind of unfolds from there to try to figure out how is it that Luther can, without any credentials, knocking on people's doors or anything like that, how can he go ahead and be able to catch a psychopath without getting caught himself first?
Luther is a psychopath.
I think Luther is, if you watch all of the seasons, I think he is a guy who is willing to do bad things sometimes to get the right person.
Yeah, I remember you saying that when we were talking about the TV show.
we talked about the TV show previously. So this is like a follow-up, because the TV show was supposed to have ended. And then I guess because of all the people just saying, "Oh my gosh, we need more."
Yeah, because probably the 4 seasons is probably 8 episodes.
Yeah, 4 seasons, because the last season was literally 3 or 4 episodes.
So
because that's how British shows do.
It's probably 12 episodes total.
Yeah, it's not a lot of episodes, and some of them went maybe a little over an hour, but still, it's just not a lot when it comes to that TV show. So I was just sitting there like, "This is it? It's only 4 episodes? Like, what's going on?" So the season, or excuse me, this movie does kind of pull things together and leave some opening for if they did want to do future movies. So, yep. But that's what I had. Luther, the Fallen Son. Oh, and I was saying I was going to tie that together. So I think it was because Luther, being this top detective that everybody touted as being the best, he was the Fallen Son, S-O-N, as opposed to S-U-N, which is how it's worded, because of the fact that they made him fall, and he's a terrible person. All the news agencies were outside of the prisons, and when they were making him guilty.
So he went from his top plateau
exactly to being the fallen son of the city or the town. So that's what I think is kind of the dualness of it. So, but that's what I had, and it's on Netflix.
Okay.
All right. So what you got next, sis?
All right. So I have Class of '07. It's on Prime. It just came out in March.
Oh, never heard of it.
So this is a watch it or don't.
Okay.
Yeah. It's 8 episodes. I don't even know how long the episodes were. But it had it. All right. The story. All right. The potential is there, but the reason that this happened is unknown. Okay. So it's in Australia. All right. You got some girls who get together for their 10-year reunion. Okay. But actually, let me back up. So it's a 10-year reunion that's coming up, but we don't even get there yet. You know what we're getting to?
What?
It's going to look like The Bachelor when it first comes on.
Oh.
So there's this young lady staying there with this dude, and it's just exactly just like The Bachelor. They have doves in a cage, flowers, candles everywhere, producers, everything. So he is standing there with this young lady. Who is, is Erin Browning, who, Emily Browning. She is the main character. Her name is Zoe.
Okay.
In the show. Now, Zoe's standing there with the dude, and this dude, first of all, has a man bun.
Okay.
Nothing
wrong with a man bun.
Nothing's wrong with a man bun, but I mean, the way that he just looks like.
Okay. Dead air.
Yeah, he looks like a D bag. I was trying to not say anything.
Yeah, don't. Let's keep it PG.
Yeah. So he just looks like he's a not very nice person.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay.
So as he says, "I'm sorry, it's not you." He's he's all excited, and he's giving her hopes and dreams, high hopes, you're gonna be the one. And then he was like, "Yeah, I'm sorry." And then she flips out.
Oh.
And she was like, She was like, how did I even stoop down this low? She was like, and he was like, we're all here just looking for love. She was like, are you looking for love? She said, are you in between giving out flowers, promoting your training app or something like that? And I was like, oh. She's going off. She's throwing things. She's like throwing things. She's going off. Then she grabs the dove. She was like, and these doves, these stupid doves. She grabs the dove, throws it up in the air. What happens? She's like, be free. It just poops in her mouth.
Oh my God.
Right into her mouth. And that is the thing that went viral. So after that happened, she goes home to Australia and she's just, in a little I don't even know. It's like a mobile home that she's in, like out in the woods. Like, well, not in the woods, but like in a mountain or whatever. Mm-hmm. And she's just, by herself doing her own thing. And this is like 6 months after the whole Bachelor, whatever thing happens.
Debacle.
Yeah. So that's when it goes into, it's a 10-year reunion. So while she's at her trailer and just sitting there, now, this is the beginning. This is probably like not even 2 minutes into it.
Okay.
She's just sitting there. The dog comes up. She's talking to the dog and petting the dog. She's trying to like build something. I don't know what she's building. You just see her with a big log and it's a hole, but you don't see anything else. That's it. So maybe a fence. I don't know. The log was really really big.
Yeah.
I have no idea. So she is like trying to go up to the dog, talking to the dog and everything. Then the dog runs off. And she's like, I thought we were having fun. And as the dog runs off, she looks and the ground starts cracking. It's a big crack down like from where she's sitting at. And then you see her hop up really fast. She grabs her butt. Her pants are wet. She's like, what is going on? Why are my pants wet? And then she goes inside, pulls out her phone. Mm-hmm. Cuts her phone off. Because she had her phone cut off because of all this. She went viral. It's like 9 million views of her, getting pooped in the mouth by a dove.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So she gets her phone and looks, and it's like it's a flood alert. Okay. It was like go to high ground. The high ground near her is her old school. So what does she do? She goes to the old school, and it is the 10-year reunion. This is also the day of the 10-year reunion. So they're saying it's a tidal wave. I don't see how it's a tidal wave because it comes from out the ground. Like all the water's coming from out the ground. Mm-hmm. So I can't say that it's a tidal wave, but I don't know. Whatever flash flood warning is happening, and I don't know where this water is coming from. Okay. So now she's there, and she acts like nothing is wrong. She goes in, and she's like, did you all get the message? And they're just like, what? It's our 10-year, reunion. Yeah. She's just like, she forgot all about it. What she do? She just goes ahead and have fun.
So she just had the world is cracking outside.
Forgetting about all of this. Forgetting about the dove pooping in her mouth. Yeah. Forgetting about, the dog. The dog's gone. I guess, the dog's swimming somewhere, I guess. All of this. She's forgetting about all of this, right? Okay. Hanging out with them, she sees one of her good friends, and it was apparently one of her best friends. Then her best friend moved away and didn't explain to her why or anything. So she has this whole thing against this one girl. Okay. So as this is going on, now there are these two girls who are like potheads, I guess. And what do? They go out to the gazebo, and at the gazebo, it is a bench for a girl named Laura who had passed away. Get this, Laura didn't pass away. Laura's there. So just like, hey, who are you? She's like, I'm Laura. They're like, wait, isn't this your bench? Didn't you die? She was like, apparently not. I'm right here.
Yeah, people might have thought I did.
But then they start calling her forgetful Laura because it was like, we're always going to forget her name.
Oh, no.
So that's what they, the whole entire time. That's like, forgetful Laura. FL.
Oh, my goodness.
So, with these two kids, these two stoners, they're out there, they're smoking and everything, and they're just talking. And then one of the girls goes outside, and she looks, and she's just like, oh my God, the water is all the way up to where the school is. Mm-hmm. It's like all you can see. It's all you can
see is all this water.
All you can see is water and treetops in the gazebo. And the crazy thing is that all the girls run outside, and they're just like, what is going on? So now they're looking at all this water, but they're also looking at the two girls who have now climbed on top of the gazebo. And they're just like, are we really high? Or is there really water around? They was like, yeah, it's really water. She's like, okay, just making sure you see it too. All right, cool.
Oh my gosh.
They have to build rafts to get the girls. They're freaking out because they're like, are we the only ones that are here? Mm-hmm. Because as far as they can see, it's just water.
Yeah.
So they're like freaking out. Now they all have to work together because they have to work together with food, with drinks. They're running out of water. They don't have any electricity and things like that. So they become, it's like all of the mean girls and frenemies actually have to work together. And this is what actually makes it entertaining.
Okay.
Now, the reason for the flood, I don't know. What happens with the flood, I don't know.
Okay.
What happens with the girls, I don't know.
Huh.
Yeah, it ends. I'm just like, so what did I just watch?
You watched it all to
not know anything. Not to know what happened. Nothing. At all.
Y'all can see her face, and her just looking at the ceiling
just
like
nothing at all. I don't know what happened.
Grasping for something, and there's nothing.
Maybe I missed the last episode. Maybe let's hope that they put another episode out
maybe
after.
A few weeks later, they put out.
I'm gonna see if I'm gonna look when we're done. I'm gonna go look and see if there's another episode. Let's hope there's another episode, guys. Okay, listeners, let's hope there's another episode. Anyway, so now they are coming together, and instead, they didn't have bathrooms or utilities or anything like that, and then they're all like younger girls.
Yeah,
it's an all girls school. So then what happens? They're just pooping out in an area.
Oh.
So then there's this one girl who apparently has disappeared, and they're going out looking for this girl. They can't find her. What do they find? They find the poop area, and it's like, oh, it smells horrible around here. It's probably a dead body. It's like, we've been all pooping here for the entire time. It's been 3 weeks. We've been pooping here. And she was like, oh, and then they come together and it's like, okay, so now we have to make bathrooms. And then we have to figure out who's going to fish, who's going to hunt, who's going to get all this stuff.
I was like, how have they been eating? What's been going on? Yeah.
They have to figure out, this one girl ends up being a cook. They all end up getting teams of who's going to do what. They are so smart. I don't know who thought of this, and I don't even know how that even worked. The car batteries end up being in the school. I don't know how that happened, but car batteries are in the school.
Maybe there was an auto mechanic shop around the corner.
Yeah.
Don't they have that?
Sure.
In vocational section of the school?
This school look like a castle. There's nowhere for you to pull a car into.
That's a point, too, because it was an all-girls school, and probably back then they wouldn't have had...
I mean, this isn't back in the day.
Well, no,
when they built the castle.
When they built it, they probably wouldn't have built it with the thought of an auto mechanic shop.
So there's a bunch of car batteries. Is enough car batteries for being one per girl?
Oh, I was going to say, it wasn't the batteries for them being... They got there.
Oh, maybe it's their actual car batteries.
It could be theirs,
I don't know if their cars are even there. I don't remember seeing their cars.
Yeah, anywho. Okay.
I know. The car batteries are there. What do? They take their Peloton bikes and then they hook it up to the batteries, and now they're charging the batteries. I don't know how they work that out, but somebody's really smart.
Somebody's smart to figure that out. Not smart to explain where the batteries came from, but smart
to figure that out, because I don't know where the batteries came from. Hopefully each girl pulled out their own battery from their car. But, so now they have electricity. They have water. Well, no, not so much water. I can't remember what they did for water. I can't remember water. They have food, but then it's things happen. The girl who disappears, it's so what happened to her? Did she die? Did she swim away?
Yeah.
What exactly happened? So now it's just going through that, and basically most of the show is this one girl who's we need to find her, and everybody else is yeah, we need to find some food to eat, because I'm not worried about her right now. I'm worried about me.
I need to survive.
Yeah. And then there's one girl who's a workaholic. She's working the entire time on a laptop that's about to die because she has the battery. So she blackmails one girl into doing her charging her battery and using it, and everybody's just why are you so worried about all this work stuff when we don't even know if we're ever going to see people again?
Yeah, exactly.
And she's just when this is all going to blow over, it'll be fine. I still have a deadline I have to do, blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
So it gets crazy with that. But they go into each character's life as far as from when they were younger up to what they're doing now in life. And that's the interesting part, because you get to see how people were when they were younger and then what they're doing now.
How they turned out.
Yeah. One girl is I don't know, she's famous for, she's probably an influencer or something like that. One of them is the one who's working all the time. She's a big executive for something. Another girl is running for something. So all of them are doing things, and you get the whole story of them growing up and everything and stuff, different things like that.
Gotcha.
So the storyline it's there.
Yep.
But I feel like the water apocalypse, it was for what?
Right.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
Somebody does it flood a lot in Australia?
I have heard of fires in Australia. I haven't heard about floods in Australia. I'm not sure.
I don't know.
I'm not sure. I
Love
haven't
to
been
see
there.
if anybody's in Perth.
Yeah,
They might
Perth.
know. But
Sydney.
Yeah, in Sydney. But yeah, just seeing them having to work together when they are really frenemies.
Yeah.
Is quite funny. But it's a watch it or don't.
Yeah.
Because it's like interesting, and then it's also like, but why?
But why?
Where'd the batteries come from?
Right.
And like,
what's the purpose
and then,
of this?
so you're trying to tell me you were out there at the gazebo and you saw this water coming and you decided just to get on top of it and not walk out of the gazebo?
Yeah.
To the school.
To the school.
To tell
to
people.
Get into some place that would even have you be safe.
Yeah. And then you could tell people.
Yeah.
So
that's
then
true. Well, but the girl who
Zoe definitely didn't tell anybody because she was just trying to
forget
forget about everything, and this was just fun for her. This was like not reality.
Gotcha.
So that was her escape.
Was too real.
Yeah, reality was too real for her, so that was her escape.
Okay.
And I don't know. Class of 07 on Prime. Watch it or don't. It's up to you. I thought that the storyline was good, but some of the things had holes in it.
Yeah.
So
that definitely sounds like it.
But it's still the each individual person's storyline is good. So, like I said, watch it or don't. Class of 07 Prime.
Okay.
What you got?
I actually have The Night Agent.
Oh,
number one on Netflix at this time. So yeah.
And he, it's so weird. I remember seeing him as like a young kid on like different movies, and now
no idea who this guy is.
And now it's just like he's
the headliner of a movie.
And he's like, what is he like I don't know. He's like an assassin or something. I don't know.
No, actually, he's an agent. So he's the night agent. Okay. So, but yeah. So his name is Gabriel Basso. Going through the cast, and so he plays Peter Sutherland. And I'll get into a little bit more about each person in this cast in a moment. You have Lucianne Buchanan, and she plays Rose Larkin. So she is like a person who calls the night agent phone. Because if you look at the preview, you know that a phone rings, and so it's the night agent phone. You have Hong Chow. I think that's how she pronounces it. Diane Farr is who she plays. And she's been in so many things lately. If you looked at the menu, she was the person who made sure everybody stayed in the room.
Oh, yeah. I love her.
Yeah, she's amazing. I love her. She was in Devs. She was in a bunch of different things. So, yeah, I think it was Devs, or was it? No, it was the one that was Julia Roberts, and then it moved over to Michelle Monet.
Homecoming.
Yeah, she was in that one. You have Fola Evans Akingbola, and she plays Chelsea Arrington. And then you have DB Woodside. I see the W and I'm trying to say
W. Are you trying to say W.E.B. Du Bois?
No. I was trying to say W.B. Woodside, but it's D.B. Woodside. Okay. So sorry about that. But he plays Eric Monks. And so basically the story is about Sutherland. So Sutherland actually, as it starts, he's actually just on a train, just a subway train, and he sees a person who puts a bag underneath the seat. And he's like, that's suspicious. He's with the FBI. So he ends up looking at this person get off the train. And he's like, okay, so you just put a bag under a seat and you got off the train and you have a hoodie on and you're trying to be real, like, inconspicuous. But I'm recognizing you. Yeah. So therefore, he goes up, looks in the bag, sees that there's a bomb in the bag. So he pulls the emergency cord, right? Okay. And so he's just like, everybody off, get off orderly. And somebody else is like, it's a bomb. Oh, God. So, of course, that doesn't make it so orderly. But almost everybody gets off the train. The train blows up. But he's considered a hero because if it wasn't for him recognizing it and getting everybody off, then he would have, more people would have died. I think there was one casualty. Okay. So unfortunately for him, though, his father was involved with being a spy for another country, allegedly. Mm-hmm. So therefore, he was also with the Bureau, all of that. And everybody is like, well, but your dad, you're Sutherland's kid. Okay, we know about Sutherland. Were you actually the one who put the bomb on the train? Because we know your father used to be a spy. And he's like, my father wasn't a spy. I know he wasn't a spy. He was a good person. He just died before he could clear his name, all these kind of things. So then he was given a job to work as the night agent by Farr. who Hong plays. And so basically she's at the White House. She's the Secretary of State. The president is a woman. And so basically she's like, look, you have to sit overnight at this phone. It never rings. If it does ring, just, you have to kind of look in this book and figure out what the code is that they give goes with this, right? So he's sitting there one night, and guess what? The phone rings, and it kind of kicks off this entire sequence of events, because his whole thing was like, I've been here forever, and the phone never rung. So the woman who called was Rose. And so when Rose calls the hotline, she shares with him some information that basically alludes to the fact that there may be people in the White House that can't be trusted, because she's staying with like her family, friends, or aunt or something. I think it's her aunt. And basically she's hearing her aunt and uncle talking about, oh, like everything's so secretive, and oh this and oh that, and all of a sudden her aunt has a gun, and she's like, what the heck?
Oh, what is going on?
How do you even have a gun? She's like, there's two men outside. You need to go up the banister.
Wow.
Sneak out. Go to the neighbors. At the neighbors, you do this. Call this number. Once you call this number, say these 4 words, and then that's going to be able to get us some help to hopefully be able to get out. And so the aunt and uncle make her go. As she's trying to get away, she sees the face of somebody who was coming up to the house, and she just takes off running through the woods. And so she gets to the other house, makes the phone call, happens to be the Sutherland is the one who answers the phone call. And that's when everything just starts going, because the aunt and uncle were using words like osprey and that somebody in the White House can't be trusted, and all these things that they were saying before she left. And she was like, what in the world is osprey? I heard them say osprey, like, I don't even know what this means. What about this? What about that? And so it's so many moving parts to this show that make you feel like, well, is this a good guy? Is this a bad guy? Is this a good woman? Is this a bad woman? There's so many twists and turns. You get confused about who's who you can trust, who you can't trust. He even is like, I think we can trust this person. I'm really not sure. Maybe we shouldn't trust this person, but then maybe you should have. It's just...
It's so much back and forth, yeah.
It's
you don't know.
You have no idea. You just know that before her... Well, no, it's a series. It's like 8 episodes, yeah. And so you just know that her aunt and uncle were like, somebody can't be trusted. Because the only people who knew about this were people in the White House. And so for them to have sent somebody to try to kill us, somebody in the White House is a rat, was kind of basically that. And then what happens is you have this female and male duo that then starts going around, and they get hired to actually kill Rose, who is the girl who made the phone call. And everybody is trying to protect Rose. Like, they're like, bring Rose to the White House. Take Rose to a safe house. Do this for Rose.
What's up with Rose?
I think it's just because of the fact that she saw their face. Because she saw one of the faces of the person who was outside. So they're like, we got to get her because she now can identify, somebody. And so the male and female duo, they are insane.
Really?
They are insane. I mean, they play that so well.
Is it like that whatchamacallit movie? What is it?
Which one?
What is the one Quentin Tarantino movie?
Oh yeah,
Woody Harrelson.
Yeah, Woody and what's her name? Juliet.
Like that kind of crazy.
They're
like psychotic crazy.
Yeah, they're psychotic crazy. Yeah, pretty much. Well, she feels like he brought her in, but she feels more like psychotic crazy. Like she is just like, I really wanted to see them die. Like, why do we just have to put them in the river? Like, and let them sink in the ocean or whatever, So she's just like, no, I want to see the life come out of their eyes. Like, that's the kind of killer that she is. Whereas he is just like, look, as long as the job gets done and we get paid, who cares how they die? We know that they're dead kind of scenario. So it's really weird. But it's pretty much a good show because it does wrap up all the loose ends by the end, which I do like, unlike the one that you just talked about where you're like, huh, what?
Yeah.
So it doesn't leave a lot for you to be guessing about. It does close everything out. And I guess, I would recommend it. It's on Netflix. Like I said, it was the #1 show on Netflix for, gosh, I feel like over a week. And so, that is it. The Night Agent. And I think that with all the twists and turns and everything, I can see why it's got some great reviews. So,
okay. All right.
So that's what I had.
Natural Born Killers is what I was thinking of.
Natural Born Killers. Yep, that's what it was. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Natural Born Killers. All right.
Yeah.
So for my last one,
okay,
I have the new show that just came out on Prime with my homegirl Toni Collette, and this is called
I did
Power.
See the preview for that.
I don't know how many Power shows are going to be on TV. All right, so yeah, this is called The Power. It's on Prime. Now, it's based off of a New York Times bestseller, so you know it's going to be good.
Okay.
You know?
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, so far, I think it's, maybe 2 or 3 episodes, 3, 4 episodes, something like that. It's really, it's, because they're going to put it out probably every Friday or something like that.
Oh,
but,
okay.
So it's basically the world that we know today, but the only difference is the young girls, ages like 12 to 13 to 19, they get these powers, like these super powers, where they are electrified. So this is kind of cool how it's like, how they made it seems like the women are going to run things and the men are just
That's why only the girls get the power?
Yeah.
Okay.
But the crazy thing is it's only the young girls. Now, what's weird to me is from what I saw in the trailer, not from what I've seen on the show so far, because like I said, it's only like the 3rd or 4th episode. So far what I've seen from the trailers looks like there are more older women that have the power that may have been hiding it. Because I feel like I got a glimpse of like an older woman using it, but it's like these young kids are the ones who are getting it now. So maybe it's between that ages you get it, but then you have to learn how to work on your power to know how to use it and how not to use it. So, like I said, Toni Collette is in it. She's playing the mayor, Margot.
Okay.
She's married to John Leguizamo, and they have a couple of kids. One of their daughter's name is Joss. Now, Joss is played by, I'm gonna butcher her name, but I must think that it's right. Olii. I think it's Olii Caravallo.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with this. Auli Auli I'.
I don't know.
Ali.
Yeah,
Ali. Yeah, let's say that. All right, so you also have the actor Toheeb Jomo or Jimo. He is actually plays Sam on Ted Lasso.
Oh, Sam.
Yeah.
Sam.
Sam, yeah. And then you have Haley Bush who plays Allie. Now, Allie's character is a beast, okay? Let me just tell you about Allie's character. Okay. So, Allie is, she's been in foster care for a while. She has, her foster parents are an older white couple. Mm-hmm. And she is a young black girl. So, she's not talking. She does not talk to anyone.
Okay.
And then one day she just is like I think she's just sitting somewhere, and then she hears this voice in her head. So now I'm like, oh, wait, so is schizophrenia part of this power thing? But it's just a voice telling her, it's like, no, all right, don't talk now, but the time is coming where you're going to have to talk, and when you do talk, it's going to move mountains and stuff like that. So it's like a very inspirational voice. It's not like, hey, go over there and punch this person in the face,
right.
You know? But it's an inspirational voice, and it's actually showing her how to use her powers. So it's like she's the queen, basically. She is Storm.
Okay, gotcha.
But she's like, I guess, electrical Storm. I don't know. But, I mean, there's one scene, she ends up leaving this house with the family because she ends up shocking the husband to death.
Oh, no.
But, so she shocks him. I mean, the reason why she shocks him, I get it. But, I mean, some people might just be like, that's still not a reason to kill a person. But so when she shocks him, she doesn't kill him all the way, and then the voice in her head says, you gotta finish it off, baby, you gotta do it. And then what does she do? She just grabs his face, and then she shocks him again, and then he finally passes away. She grabs her stuff, she leaves. Now as she leaves, this is the thing, she's walking, and she has her hand, she walks, and, people are trying to talk to her and stuff, people are, driving by her, nobody's, trying to pick her up and talk to her or anything like that. Now she's wanted by the police, so she goes into this diner, sits down at the table, and the table's, full of, half-eaten food, and, the tips on the thing with the bill and everything. And as she goes in and she sits down at the table, and she sees this one person looking at her, but then, nobody else paying attention, and she came in there, right? And then they have her on TV. They show a picture on TV. So now she has put her hood on, stuff like that. And then the voice says, grab that money, let's go. So then she has to grab the money, grab some food, and then she runs out. So as she keeps going, she goes to this field, she just lays down. She sticks her hand in the air, and all these lightning bugs just come over, and they're just just going and flying around her hand. I thought that was cool. I was like, that's powerful.
Yeah.
Then something else happens. I can't remember what it was, but later on she ends up walking, and as she's talking, like as the voice is talking to her, she's talking back to the voice, and she's just like, I don't understand what's happening to me. Like, what am I doing? Blah, blah, blah. And then she gets angry, and I swear she stomps, and then next thing you know, all of the electricity goes down the power lines.
Oh, wow.
And it's just like blowing out everything.
Yeah,
and then she's like, you see what I'm talking about, baby? Yeah. And then the voice in her head says that. She's like, oh. So now you don't really know what's going to end up happening with her. Like I said, third episode. Okay. All right. So Toni Collette now, with her being the mayor, what's going on is that a plane goes down.
Okay.
Plane goes down. There's some teenage kids. Joss, which is her daughter, and some of her other friends are sitting around at like the river or something like that. And then they see this plane go by, and all of them are just like, "Wait, that plane's on fire and it's going down." So they're just in awe, like, "Wait, is this really happening?"
Right.
And what ends up happening is this young girl ends up
like on the plane.
On the plane.
Oh, okay.
Her father had gave her like Benadryl or something like that so she could sleep during the plane. She woke up. She was freaking out during the turbulence. She set the whole plane on fire because of her powers. Powers. And that's what was so crazy about it. Now they have hazmat suits and stuff like that. So now the mayor, Toni Collette, who's Margot the mayor, well, Mayor Margot, whatever. She comes to the site and she's just like, what is even happening? Like, tell me what's going on. And this guy who is, I guess, I don't know if he's something like a councilman or something like that, but I know he wants to be the mayor. So he's like, you just go ahead and go home. I know you haven't had much rest. I'll do all of this, blah, 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 blah. But you can tell that he's trying to do that because he's trying to steal the thunder and make people not like her. But she's like, no, I'm not having that.
Right.
So she asks so they see the father. She goes to the father, talks to the father, goes to the hospital and everything, stuff like that. And as she's talking, she goes and she finds a way to get into the room where that girl is. And she's sitting down, she's talking to the girl, and then she talks to the flight attendant, and then she's like talking to everybody. She's talking to the father, she's talking to everybody, like, and then she's getting so much information. But what the world is saying is it's nothing to worry about, like, it's not a big thing, it was just a freak accident, blah 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 blah. And then what happens is that Margot, the mayor Margot, she goes on TV and she's just like, well, here we go. Let y'all know the truth. And she tells exactly what happens. Wow. And she tells how, like, there's supposed to be something that happens to the young girls, and like, if you watch it, you'll figure that out. And then it's just like she's telling the whole world. And then what happens now, all these men that are in the the government in other countries, now they're starting to say exactly what she's saying. And then now it's becoming, we have to take all young girls. If you think it's just like the Salem witch trials. If you think that this girl, if you potentially know anybody who could be a witch, you have to let us know. And then they were like calling young
girls with powers.
And you know what's so crazy, that some of the girls who didn't even like other girls was like, "Yep, she got it." And she was like, we just are fighting. That's why you're doing this. So it's like the Salem witch trials when it comes to that. So it's just a lot of back and forth when it comes to that. And they have all of these young girls quarantined in the gym, spaced out 6 feet away from each other, with plastic gloves on,
so that they can't use their
and
powers.
Zip tied.
So why did the mayor want to share the information? Like, was it that she should have?
She was sharing the information to say, we need to let these young girls know what is potentially going to happen
to them, but not as a negative, like how the men turned it around.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So she's saying there's something going on with our young ladies.
If a plane comes out of the sky on fire because somebody had powers, that they're going to shut everything down and it's going to create massive havoc.
Yeah, well, the thing is that the whole powers thing didn't even come out until later later on. So you only find out about what happened on the plane once she actually talks to the little girl.
Oh, okay.
Well, she's not really a little girl, but the young lady.
Yeah. Okay.
When she talks to her, that's when you find out about the powers. That's the reason why the plane went down. Other than that, you don't know anything.
Okay.
Like they're just like, the father's there. He's just like, I want to see my daughter. I want to see my daughter.
So they survived.
Yeah. The plane landed smoothly. It was like Sully on the Hudson.
Yeah, it was. I couldn't tell that,
but just on the ground.
Just on the ground. Got it.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know how many casualties there were, but I think there was some casualties.
Okay.
But yeah. So now, how it starts off when you go first hearing about these powers is there's this young lady who is trying to be a journalist. She hears about this, so what does she do? She goes to these young ladies. She does like a Vice type thing. She goes to the young ladies. She's like talking to them, recording them and stuff like that. She was like, but this is my story, and I won't do anything unless I have y'all's agreement with this, blah 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 blah. So as she's doing that, she tells one of her best friends, who is Sam from which we call it Tahib. Yeah. So she tells him what's going on. What does he do? Now he still wants to be a journalist. So now he goes and he tries to steal the story. So now he's sneaking into the house to where these girls are. And you can just see the girls. They're dancing around. They got light bulbs in their hand. They're lighting the light bulbs. You know, it's like strobe lights going on. They're like, it's pretty cool. They're like zapping stuff. They're like zapping each other's hands and stuff like that. You know, it's kind of cool. So that's one story, and that kind of gets a little jacked up too when you get to that story. Okay. But I mean, it's so many things. There is a, I don't even know, Polish, Russian, Slavic, I don't know, but it is somebody from over in that area, that region.
Somewhere in that region.
Yeah. And you could, like, it shows her when she was younger, and she was really into doing gymnastics.
Okay.
So, and then from the gymnastics, you see her slowly growing up, and then her mother is just putting her down the entire time. Her mother's like, you should have done this. You should have done this. Or you think you're a celebrity because the world wants to see you. So her mother is just a narcissist, just putting her down, like, you think you big and bad, but you are not big and bad. And then what happens? She marries this old man who has a bunch of money, and now she lives in this great home. Oh, and what does she do? Her mother comes, and what does she do to her mother? Her mom's sitting down, and she brings over a big tray of like desserts, and the mother's sitting there, and the mother was starving. And she's just looking at it, and her mom's like, says to her in a native language, like, aren't you going to offer me anything? And she's like, no, what do you want? And then that's when the mother starts like going off and like start putting her down again and stuff like that. It's like, bro, like, you just mad? You think that the more you put her down, the more she's going to want to give you the stuff?
Bees with vinegar.
Yeah, what that makes no sense.
Get bees with honey, be sweet.
Yeah. More bees with sugar than with vinegar. Come on, bro. So, now it's just kind of funny how, like, she's just thinking about all of this stuff that's happening, and her mother's just like, but since your father's died, I don't have anywhere to live, I don't have anywhere to go, I don't have any food, and she's just like, sounds like a personal problem, I ain't got nothing to do about that. So, you know, but she also is going through her own thing. So I think Tatiana has powers as well, and she's an older woman. So that's what I'm saying. It's so many different ways that these women have power. And is it all your older women? And then is the woman that's talking to Allie in the head, is that an actual person, or is it not a person? I don't know. It's just a lot.
It's a lot.
I like it. I like it though. Okay. I like it though. But yeah, it's called The Power. It's on Prime. Check it out. It's really good. Okay. So far, so good.
So far, so good. Yeah. All right. Great. Well, the last one for today I have is called Unprisoned.
Unprisoned, yeah.
Unprisoned. Good. So that is a show that is on Hulu, and it has Kerry Washington, who plays Paige Alexander. She's kind of like a influencer therapist, I guess. She's a therapist, like, to see people in person, but every life event she has to go live and has people who follow her. Her prisoned father, who is in the show Unprisoned, is Delroy Lindo, who is great. He was on, he's been on a lot of things. The Five Bloods. He was in not The Good Wife, The Good Fight, TV show. He was one of the attorneys, the main attorney. So he's on here. Carrie's son is Fally Rokoto Havana. His name is Finn on the show, and that's the person who plays her son. He's like a teenager. What I love is the little Paige character. So Jordan
Oh, yes,
McIntosh,
she is hilarious.
she plays little Paige, and it is so funny. So as things are going on and Paige wishes she could say something, little Paige pops up and is like, girl, let me tell you. And she'll be cursing like a sailor and everything. But she is funny. And so she'll just be like, look, this is the real deal. This is what I'm talking about here. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So she is really cute and like keeps it real. And then you have Markay Richardson, who plays Mal, who is the probation officer for her father. So that's kind of the main cast members. They have a few others in there, but for the most part, it's a lighthearted show. You know, it has some poignant moments as well. It's about Kerry Washington's character's father, who gets out of prison, and so he's now unprisoned, and he's been in prison for 17 years. She has a son that her father has never met because he's a teenager in high school, and she doesn't really want him to necessarily meet her son, but they do end up meeting because she has to leave her father at her house to go to sign actually a mortgage for a house. I think she was in a rented house and she was trying to sign a mortgage for a real house for her to own. And she leaves her father at the house while her son skips school. He comes in. Who does he see? His grandfather that he's never met before. So that was kind of cool to see the two of them connect, although she wasn't that thrilled about it. Only because she feels like her father could be a bad influence if he truly hasn't changed his ways. And so for the most part, her father was supposed to be living with a friend. And because of the fact that he was going back to kind of people who were still doing some of the shady things that they were doing before he went to prison.
He didn't like that.
It didn't really work out well for him. So that's why she was thinking that her son wouldn't have to meet her dad. But in actuality, he came with his bags one night like, baby girl, I just need to come home or come here because they were doing some shiesty stuff.
Yeah, he's like, I told you, I changed.
Yeah, I'm changing. I'm trying to do right. I'm trying to do good. So basically, it's about how her father also has some unconventional ways of thinking. What cracked me up is like, he gets out of prison. She's driving him home, but she wants to stop and get him some clothes, some underwear, t-shirts, whatever. She leaves him for like 5 seconds to go get something for dinner. So it's like a Walmart kind of store. You can go over and get your, dinner, but then at the same time you could be shopping for t-shirts, She leaves him, comes back, he's gone. And she's like, where in the world is he? Come to find out, he's pushing this lady's cart. And his cart that the lady is helping him put clothes in. And she was like, I left you for 5 minutes. So what does she do? She goes live and she was like, hey, everybody. So my dad's out of prison. He's a charmer and a womanizer. Let me talk to you. Barbara, come over here, Barbara. Whatever her name was.
That was so messed up.
It was just like,
That's
you
so
could do
messed
better.
up.
He just got out of prison. I know he said he's going to take you to lunch tomorrow, but how's he going to take you? He has no car. He has no money. So you go ahead. Bye-bye. Like, have a good life. Like, just stay away from him. And you can just see Barbara, like, walking away or whatever the lady's name was.
No, but she was like, so sad.
Oh, I'm so sad because I really liked him. He was so charismatic. And yes, you're right. I do deserve better than a guy who just got out of prison and has no car and can't really do anything for me. So then she takes him to her quote unquote mother's house, which is actually like a step mom.
Yes and no.
The woman that he was with before he went to prison is the easiest way to say it. That he left his daughter with, right, when he went to prison.
The only woman that he trusted.
Yes, exactly. And she dropped him off because he wanted to just see her. She was still friendly, whatever. Had to pick up some of his clothes and things. Well, she was wondering why he was taking so long. So you can only imagine.
Yeah.
Why he was taking so long.
He just got out of prison.
So she goes into the house and hears some interesting noises. And it's like, OMG. Like, seriously, dude? Oh, yeah. And then the woman was like, hello. Like, he's been in prison 17 years. What did you expect?
Like, she comes out, robe just open. She's like, well, what are you even doing in here? She's like, what am I doing here? So
exactly. It was so funny. So basically, he has a parole officer. He has to do everything to kind of keep all his life together, get a job, all those things. Well, the parole officer has a crush on his daughter. So, which is, the character that Kerry Washington plays. And so basically it's all about her son, her father, them kind of building and rebuilding a relationship. There's some really fun antics that take place, as well as there also is some social justice type scenarios where it's almost like, how do you expect someone who comes out of prison to be successful when no one will hire somebody who has a prison record?
Yeah.
So he's really trying to get a job, and it's like he thought he had one, and then they're like, oh, you didn't pass the background check, as he's at the celebratory dinner for him getting a job.
He's supposed to be going into work the next day.
Yeah, exactly. And so then he had to get a job at a place that will hire prisoners and ex-felons and things like that, but then it's like that person treats everybody like crap. Mm-hmm. So then it's like, well, dag, my only options are to
be treated bad or not get a job at all.
Exactly, because you feel like there's nowhere else I could go, so you're going to treat me horrible.
What you were doing before.
Exactly. So it really does spell a lot of things out in regards to just life and trying to be a functional citizen.
Yeah.
When you have a record and you've paid your dues, like that's the whole thing.
That's the whole thing. When you go to prison,
it's just supposed to be when you get out, your dues is supposed to be paid, and therefore you should be able to
your dues to society.
Exactly. You should be able to step back into society.
Don't want you.
Get your life together. And so he does some creative ways that aren't illegal to try to get himself back into, a way in which he can help his daughter to pay the bills around the house, because she did get the new house and it's got to need to get a new roof or whatever. And so he's just like, okay, I got to help, how can I contribute? And so that's really what the story is about, is him being someone who, has gotten out of prison, is very charismatic, can flirt with women really all day long, and women just eat putty. They're like putty in his hands. Like, they just eat out of his hands.
He's like, well, what's your name? Oh, that's a beautiful name.
Yeah,
And
he
the women are like,
the woman's dog in the car.
Yeah.
And then as he's talking to her after saving the dog, she knows his whole story, because they did a whole news story on it. And she's like, yeah, let's go out on a date.
Absolutely.
Why don't you come back to my place? And it's like, okay, sure. So he's very charismatic. And that's the part that bothers Carrie as well, because she's like, it's just, he has it too easy. It's like, oh my gosh, these women will just take
anything for him.
Right, exactly, because women also like to be saviors. So, in some instances. So, anywho, I think it was a good show. Definitely would recommend it if you want to watch something that's lighthearted but also has a message. So, again, it's called Unprisoned on Hulu.
All right.
And that is it this week, everybody, for Sestra-Tainment. I hope everybody has a wonderful week, and we'll do it again next week.
All right.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.